Coming up on episode 85 of Creative Writing, I'm talking about how to plan your year.
I can't go back to sleep, it's almost light. These restless thoughts have kept me up again tonight.
Hello and welcome to Creative Writing. This is the podcast for you, a blogger, creative, or writer working to build an online platform without being smarmy. And I'm your host, Kirsten Oliphant. I'm so glad that you are here, and I'm really excited on this rainy Monday. I'm actually recording on the day this is going to drop. We have tornado warnings, so hopefully that's not something you're going to hear happening in this podcast. But I'm really excited because Friday I launched my first ever Quick Fix audio. Now, if you've been with me for a while, you know the Quick Fix is what I call my weekly email, and I decided to try something new this year, which is to do an audio version. I basically spend a few minutes. I said it was going to be 10, it ended up being 20. I think most weeks it'll be 15. But I'm just discussing the links that I share in my weekly email, and the response has been really great. Some of you emailed to say you're a reader and you're never really going to listen, and that's totally okay because you're not hearing this anyway. But I did get a lot of responses from people who said that they loved the short format and hearing kind of the links discussed in a more detailed way. So I'm really, really excited about that. And if you are not signed up for my email list, let's get on that. So you can actually subscribe by going to creativewriting.com/quick fix. And that will not only give you the Friday email and kind of the access to the archives of all the links, but whenever I have anything big going on, and I've got some fun things coming up this year, you will hear about them. So in this episode, I want to talk about planning. And yes, I know it's midway through January. Planning has already happened, right? Well, I don't know if you're like me, but January sort of feels like a little bit of a hangover from the Christmas holidays. I had kids out of school for a long time, and that really put a damper on December planning. Plus, a lot of people just take off time in December, and then January starts, and January hits the ground running, and then here we are midway through January, and then it's easy to feel defeated because you haven't done anything, or you haven't started those things, or you haven't even planned. So we're going to hit pause on this crazy fly-by month of January and actually get some planning done. So I'm going to offer some resources and tips for you to get planning done to have an effective year. Before I get into that, I want to say a big thank you to our sponsor, ConvertKit. I have been a happy customer for over a year of ConvertKit, which is an email service provider. And I think most of you are probably familiar with those. If you're just getting started with email, you should definitely check out the free email course because that'll help you get started and explain some of the intricacies of email itself. You can find that at freeemailcourse.com. But if you are a person who is using email for business, I would highly recommend ConvertKit. There are just tools that you can't find with a provider like MailChimp. The ease of use is fantastic. I have grown my list and even just kind of grown the ideas of how to grow my list and how to treat my people and how to reach out to people because of the cool tools that ConvertKit offers, which is mostly what I'm thinking about is in terms of segmentation. I can learn more about my subscribers based on their behavior with my email, and then I can send targeted emails to them with offers that they might actually be interested in. So if you want to try a free month of ConvertKit to see what some of these really cool tools are, you can go to creativewriting.com/ConvertKit. So let's talk about planning your year. It's the middle of January, almost literally, maybe a day after, and I've still got planning to do. I have a free planner, which is one of the big resources I'm going to point to, but you can download that if you would like to get it at creativewriting.com/free planner. It's a 75-page strategy guide, but also has calendar pages where you can make extra copies of each week. I made 52 of them, and last week I didn't do it, the week before I did, and this week I'm going to try to do that this morning, where I actually plan out my whole week and look at what's going on week to week to week. So that's really important. But as you're starting out, let's go and do kind of a back that up and look at the big picture. So when you're trying to figure out how to plan, I've got 3 pieces of this for you. The first is pen to paper, the second is prioritize, and the third is plan on calendar. Now, my big 75-page planner kind of covers all of those things in a different way. It doesn't put them quite in those 3 categories, but you are putting pen to paper, and then you are prioritizing. It talks a lot about prioritizing and picking things, and then planning on the calendar, which is a huge emphasis, obviously, and there's calendar pages. But as we're talking today, I want to break these things down to kind of give you a general way and format to plan things in your life, whether you're planning right now in January or listening to this in July and trying to figure out how to plan your week or your month. So pen to paper. This is a really important one, and I think is sometimes overlooked, but I want to really encourage you to actually put the computer away for a second and plan pen to paper. I have a ton of apps that I use for writing and note-taking and all those things, but this is really somewhere I want to encourage you to start your planning actually with a pen in your hand and paper. It can be a notebook, it can be a note card, it could be a giant sheet of paper. I have a huge notepad I hang on the wall in my office that I can write down my week or ideas or brainstorm, whatever it is, put your pen to paper. And the reason I want to encourage you to do this is not only does it kind of it gets you in a different mode, but there's actually a part of your brain that's being activated. It's called the reticular activating system. And in my understanding of this, because I'm not a brain scientist, it's that basically when you are using your hand and taking physical notes, this is activating the reticular activating system, which is called the RAS for short, because I don't want to say that anymore. But what it does is, to put it in computer terms, it's like closing all the other tabs. So when the RAS is activated, what that means is it's putting all the focus on that one task. So when you're putting pen to paper, it means that all of your energy, or way more, because obviously your brain is doing a million things at one time, but it's closing down all the extraneous stuff that doesn't need to happen. So you're still going to keep breathing and all those things, but it's going to focus you on the task at hand, which is that pen to paper. So that's a pretty neat thing to know, and why I want to encourage you to actually write things down. So when you're in this pen to paper time, it's a time of brainstorming. And the way, brainstorming works, I mean, this is something, I don't know about you, I use this all the time, but sometimes as adults, we're not as much encouraged to brainstorm, so you may forget, but brainstorming is a totally judgment-free time of letting all the ideas flow. So you put your pen to paper, you let the ideas flow, and you do not think to yourself, oh no, I couldn't possibly do that. Oh no, that dream is too big. Oh, maybe I should think about this. Oh, whatever other limiting thoughts. There's no limiting thoughts. You put it all on paper. So in this pen to paper section, as you're planning your year, this is just when you're putting down all the things you might want to do, the things you want to accomplish, the things you dream about doing, and you don't have any judgment about whether you can actually accomplish them or not. We'll get to the judgment because that's also important. But in this stage of pen to paper, take out paper of any kind, take out a pen, put it in your hand, close the computer, turn off your phone, and put down everything on paper that you hope for. And if you don't want to plan for your whole year at this moment, or you're listening to this in September and you want to just get through the end of the year, that's fine. Put your pen to paper and brainstorm what you want to do, what you might want to do, your goals for that window of time, however large or small. Okay, so after we move from pen to paper, we're going to prioritize. This is where we get into the judgment. And this is where I want you to take a look at what you've written down. And then I want you to, whether it's on the computer, you can move to computer now if you want to, or another piece of paper. I don't want you to lose any of these ideas, but you're going to kind of prioritize them in terms of what you can actually do. And so here are some kind of questions to ask yourself. You need to ask yourself how quickly you can actually complete something, or how realistic is it that you can actually do something. So, some of my dreams might be, I have a dream to write a novel. And for me, I've said this a lot on this show, but the number of kids I have, which is 5, really inhibits that. So novel planning to me, even though that's a dream, it's not going to happen until I can have a little bit more mental space. So that's going on the back burner. Whereas something like an ebook that's based on, audience building or email or some of the other ideas in my head that I would like to put to paper, I might actually be able to do that this year or this month. Okay. So you want to think about the reality of it. You also want to think about, especially if you're thinking about something shorter, I think it's great to think of something you could complete in 30 days. So maybe you want to look at, okay, here's a group of things that I could possibly create or finish or do in a short period of time, like this month if I wanted to. And this is something I want to accomplish by the end of the year. So maybe first kind of look at these different things that you put on the paper, and then kind of maybe put down how long each one would take you to complete, or which ones are things you could actually do now versus doing later. You want to prioritize. And I think as you are making a decision about what to do now, which comes next, so you could kind of prioritize how long each task takes or when you could actually realistically complete it. And then I want you, before you decide what you're going to do first or putting these in actual order, to think about what's going to bring you something back more quickly. So as you're deciding, okay, here are my big long-term plans, here's my year plans, and what do I want to do this month in the next 30 days? Think about what you could have, what you could complete in 30 days that would actually like keep something running in the background. Like maybe it would bring in email subscribers or start bringing in revenue because it's, a sales funnel of some kind that would be profitable for you. You want to think about putting something very first that's actually going to be working in that background while you complete other tasks. So that's just one kind of helpful thing to think about when you're looking at what to do right this second as you're listening to this podcast. What's your next thing? And kind of put them maybe in some sort of general order. I'm the kind of person who likes to plan, but my structure is a little bit loose. I know things are going to move around. I know that there are going to be changes that happen and updates, but I do want to have a general sense of, okay, this is going to happen kind of at the beginning of the year. This is going to happen at the end. And this brings us to the third point of the planning, which is plan on a calendar. So once you've put pen to paper, brainstormed things, and then you've prioritized and looked at what you can actually accomplish without, too much time, without having to learn new skills, and what you want to accomplish when, you want to look at those things over the calendar year. So what can you accomplish in the next 30 days? What do you want to accomplish by the middle of the year? What do you want to accomplish by the end of the year? And actually start putting things on the calendar. And if you have dates for big things that are coming up, put those on there so that on your calendar, okay, I really don't want to pick this goal because next month on this date, I have this going on. So for me, as I'm planning out my year, I know that I'm going to be doing the Profitable Blogging Summit again. And I don't know how many of you guys went to that last year, but it's an online summit that I ran with a few other girls. And this year, Paula Rollo from Beauty Through Imperfection and I are running it. We met last week to plan. It's probably going to be late April, early May, and I could not be more excited. But I know that up until then, I can't take on any more big projects because that is a huge project to interview and plan and get everything built out for a summit. Okay, it's a huge thing. So you need to look at your calendar and put things on it that are already in place. And then you can kind of plan around there. So I know with the summit coming up, I can't do that many more things, but I could maybe pick a smaller project that would have an easier completion time where I don't have to learn a new skill to do it. Or maybe up until then, I'm not building anything else. Maybe I just make sure that my opt-ins for people, growing my list are happening in the background. Maybe this is my time of learning. I have a course that I really want to finish on SEO. Maybe that's what I do. I hunker down. And the only other thing I build is that. So for you, look at your calendar and start putting those things that you first put on paper and then prioritize, start putting them on the calendar where they might fit so that you could realistically do something with them. So this is a really brief way to get started. And if you're interested in more, again, you can get the free planner. And when you sign up for that, you're going to get an email asking you if you want to do a Kickstart challenge. Now, many of you guys did this with me the first week in January, but I'm going to have it. I set it up now as a kind of evergreen email sequence. And so if somebody signs up, if you sign up for your free planner, you can actually get an email that's going to say, hey, do you want to do this 5-day or 6-day challenge? And it's going to have daily emails. It's going to have audio, links to the videos that I already have done in the Facebook group, and just kind of help you get 5 or 6 quick things done. It's actually 5 quick things and then a kind of bigger 30-day plan. Each one has a worksheet. They're very simple. So I want to really encourage you guys to get something done, and you don't have to do it, but you will be invited to do it if you get the free planner. So again, that's creativewriting.com/free planner. Now, if you want more on these tips, and I've got a great resource from Kelly Grant of The Grant Life on planning your editorial blog calendar, the show notes for this are going to be at creativewriting.com/085 for episode 85. So you can get the free planner there, and you can also check out the editorial calendar planning resource from Kelly, which is really fantastic as you're planning out your blog year. Now, before you go, this is such a quick episode, you guys, but I want you to actually dive into planning and do that. You don't need to spend a lot of time listening to me today, but I also want to encourage you guys to go enter the giveaway that I have going on that ends this week. I'm giving away $1,000 worth of the tools that I use, including lead pages, ConvertKit, Pop-Up Ally, my newly renovated email course, Own Your List, a microphone, the one I'm recording on right now. I'm not giving you my literal mic. I'm going to give you a mic, just like the one I have, with a boom stand and a pop filter, a ring light, and a tripod for taking video. So it's a lot of the tools that you can use to do the things that you might want to do or that have been holding you back from doing video because you don't have the right light or you don't have the right microphone to get good sound. I want you to have those things. So the giveaway is going on this week. You can go to createifwriting.com/creator to enter the Creators Studio giveaway. And the cool thing about this one is once you enter, you're going to get a special link. And every time you share that, if anybody else signs up, you will get 3 more entries. So instead of just having people to compete with, if you share, which is how a lot of contests work, this one actually you get rewarded for sharing. So please do that. Okay, I think that's it for this week. You will hear from me again on Friday with the quick fix. And again, sign up for that at createifwriting.com/quick fix. Or again, if you want the show notes, createifwriting.com/085. Thank you to Jasmine Commerce of Jasmine Commerce Music for the music for this show, which is lovely. And I love hearing it every week as I'm editing and putting everything together. You can find her at jasminecommercemusic.com. Thanks also to ConvertKit, our sponsor. Get your free month going to createifwriting.com/ConvertKit. Now, happy planning. Get out there, get some things done. And if you have a moment and you like the show, it'll take a few minutes. I was going to say take a second, but iTunes makes it a little more difficult. But take a few minutes and leave me a rating and review on iTunes. I would love that. We've got some great guests coming up this year. And the more ratings and reviews I have, the more legit I look and the more likely people are going to actually want to take the time to be on the show. So go leave a rating or review on iTunes. Thanks so much for listening. Happy planning. And I hope you have an inspired week.